but her sentence has been put on hold, and it has to do with her attorneys trying to get the judge disqualified.
Foolio's female killer just won her appeal and beat the Foolio murder case.
Case of rapper Julio Foolio, the judge who oversaw the trial of Alicia Andrews, the woman convicted in his death, has been removed from the case.
Yeah, the state Supreme Court stepped in after concerns were raised about the judge's conduct during and after that trial.
And bro, Foolio's mom's reaction was absolutely priceless. I'm talking about straight devastation, anger, heartbreak, all of that raw emotion. But before we get into Foolio's mom reacting to this crazy, shocking news, let's talk about how she actually beat this case, because no cap, this is one of the wildest legal moves I've seen in a minute. Y'all are not gonna believe how this whole thing went down. So buckle up, gang, because this story is absolutely insane and full of unexpected twists. All right, so let me break it down for you real quick so you understand the whole situation. Alicia Andrews, right? She was the first one to go to trial out of all 5 suspects in the Foolio murder case. And bro, when I tell you the prosecution thought they had this case completely in the bag, I mean, they were rubbing their hands together like Birdman plotting something. They had phone records showing her movements. They had her traveling from Jacksonville all the way to Tampa. They had her phone pinging off cell towers throughout the entire night. They had surveillance footage from multiple locations. They had everything you could possibly need. This was supposed to be an absolute slam dunk case for real. But here's where it gets absolutely crazy and unexpected. Fam, Alicia Andrews' legal team pulled off something that nobody saw coming at all. They filed an appeal immediately after she got convicted of manslaughter, and they froze her sentencing before it could happen. And get this wild part, the appellate court actually granted their petition and removed the judge from the case completely. Yo, when I read this development, I was like, wait, what? The judge got kicked off the case because of bias. That's actually insane and almost never happens. So let me explain what happened in that courtroom, because this is where things get wild and show how the whole system can break down. Her lawyers, shout out to Jeremy McClellan and his entire legal team, they documented everything, and I mean everything, bro. They caught the judge on some real questionable behavior that basically showed she was biased against the defense from the very jump. First off, during jury selection, the judge was already moving funny and showing her hand. Alicia's lawyers wanted to strike potential jurors who straight up admitted they didn't understand rap music or rap lyrics. And bro, this case was heavily centered around rap beef, gang culture, diss tracks, all of that street politics. So if you don't understand that culture at all, how are you supposed to fairly judge this case in the context behind it? But the judge denied their request completely. She basically forced them to keep jurors who admitted they didn't get the culture or understand the context. That's wild, right? But wait, it gets even crazier and more blatant. During opening statements, the judge told both sides very clearly that they each had 1 hour total. That's it. 1 hour to present their opening arguments to the jury. But yo, the prosecutors went for 2 full hours, literally double the time they were given. And when the defense tried to bring this up during a sidebar conversation, the judge straight up lied and said she never gave them a time limit at all. But here's the thing, fam. It was all on video. They caught her on camera saying clearly, you guys each have 1 hour. So she lied, got caught in the lie on recorded footage, and just kept it moving like nothing happened. That's crazy disrespectful, no cap, and shows clear bias. And bro, it didn't stop there with just that one incident. Throughout the whole trial, whenever Alicia's lawyers tried to object to something inappropriate, the judge would just shut them down immediately. She wouldn't even let them explain their objections properly. And when they asked to go to sidebar so they could discuss legal issues away from the jury, she kept saying no and denying them. Y'all gotta understand that's a massive problem in court proceedings. When lawyers can't preserve objections on the record properly, it makes it almost impossible to appeal later on. The judge was basically blocking them from building their appeal case, which is some sneaky, underhanded work if you ask me. Let me paint this picture for you, because this is where you really see the bias clearly. The defense would try to cross-examine witnesses, right? And the judge would rush them through it like she had somewhere else to be. She literally told them to fast forward through video evidence they were trying to show the jury. Imagine that. You're trying to defend your client, you're trying to show important evidence that could prove innocence, and the judge is like, nah, speed it up, we don't got time for this. But the prosecution got 6 whole days to present their entire case. 6 full days, and the defense is getting rushed through everything like it's an inconvenience. That ain't fair at all, bro, and it shows clear favoritism. And here's the part that really sealed the deal for the appeal and got the judge removed. The judge kept telling the jury repeatedly, don't worry, we're gonna get this case to you by the end of the week. I promise you'll be deliberating by Friday. She said this multiple times throughout the trial. But here's the massive problem with that. She said this before the defense even finished calling all their witnesses and presenting their full case. So now the defense is under extreme pressure to rush their whole case because the judge already promised the jury they'd be done by a certain date. That's putting an arbitrary timeline on someone's life, fam. Alicia was facing 15 years in prison, and the judge is worried about getting the jury out before the weekend. That's absolutely insane and shows where her priorities were. The lawyers documented at least 14 different clear examples of bias, 14 separate incidents. And when they filed their appeal, they called the judge out for creating what they called a straw man fallacy. Basically, the prosecution would misrepresent the defense's arguments to make them easier to knock down, and the judge would just let it happen without correcting them. She was enabling the prosecution to play dirty while tying the defense's hands behind their back the entire time. Alicia's role in the murder. Now let me break down what Alicia Andrews actually did, because this is important to understand the full picture. The prosecution said she was basically the lookout and the coordinator for the whole operation. They claim she helped stalk and track Foolio throughout Tampa on the night he got killed. And bro, the evidence they had was pretty damning, not gonna lie. So here's what went down that night. It was Foolio's birthday, right? He was in Tampa, celebrating, doing his thing, living his life. Alicia and her boyfriend, Isaiah Chance, who goes by the street name Gutter Z, they traveled from Jacksonville all the way to Tampa. The prosecution said they weren't on no vacation or casual trip. They were on a mission with a specific purpose, and the phone record showed Alicia's phone pinging all over Tampa, following Foolio to different locations throughout the night. They got surveillance footage showing Alicia and Gutter Z sitting in a parking lot outside a club where Foolio was doing a birthday appearance. They didn't go inside to party, they just sat there for hours watching. And the whole time, Alicia's phone was sending text messages to the shooters, updating them on Foolio's exact location. Messages like, he's here, he's moving, all of that real-time coordination. Then around 4:30 in the morning, Foolio leaves his last event and heads to a hotel near USF to crash for the night and get some rest. And guess who pulls up to the same exact hotel right after him? Alicia and Gutter Z. As soon as they get there and confirm the location, the phone records show they're texting the shooters immediately. He's here, come now. And bro, the surveillance footage shows their car leaving, and then the shooters pull up right after. Next thing you know, Foolio is getting lit up in his car in the hotel parking lot. I'm talking Swiss cheese, fam. They hit that car with so many bullets, it was absolutely brutal and excessive. Here's the really messed up part that shows premeditation. Alicia had rented an Airbnb for the trip ahead of time. After the murder went down, the three shooters pulled up to that Airbnb with the guns and everything, and Alicia was right there in the house with them. Then the next day, they all drove back to Jacksonville together like nothing happened, like they didn't just commit murder. Now, Alicia's defense was that she didn't know what was going to happen that night. She claimed she was just on vacation with her boyfriend and got caught up in something she didn't understand or expect. Her lawyers tried to bring up that Gutter Z was abusive to her, that he would beat her and force her to give him her phone. They were trying to paint a picture that she was scared and being controlled by him. But the judge shut all that down, saying domestic violence wasn't a valid defense for murder charges. And honestly, the judge was right about that specific part. You can't use "my boyfriend was mean to me" as an excuse for helping plan and coordinate a murder. But here's where it gets tricky and more nuanced, fam. Even though Alicia was clearly involved in something, the real question is, did she know it was going to be a murder? Or did she think they were just gonna pull up on him, maybe fight him, maybe scare him, maybe just confront him? That's the crucial difference between first-degree murder and manslaughter charges. The jury ended up convicting her of manslaughter instead of first-degree murder, which means they believe she was involved, but maybe didn't fully understand someone was gonna die that night. Now let's talk about Foolio's mom, because this is where things get real emotional and controversial. After Alicia won her appeal and got the judge removed from the case, Foolio's mom was absolutely devastated. She's been pushing hard for justice for her son since day one, going to every single court hearing, speaking to the media constantly, demanding that everyone involved gets the maximum punishment possible. And I get it, bro, that's her son. She lost her child in a brutal public murder that was all over social media. Of course she wants justice and accountability. But here's where I gotta keep it a buck with y'all, and this might be controversial, but it needs to be said honestly. Foolio's mom is out here crying about justice and talking about how her son was innocent and didn't deserve what happened to him. But bro, let's be real for a second and look at the facts. Foolio was deep in the streets and heavily involved in the war. This man was dissing dead people in every single song he dropped. He was involved in shootings. He was getting people killed. He was celebrating deaths. This wasn't some innocent kid who got caught in the crossfire or was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Foolio was an active participant in a deadly gang war that claimed multiple lives. And I'm not saying he deserved to die, don't get me wrong. Nobody deserves to get murdered like that, especially on their birthday. But his mom acting like he was just a victim and had nothing to do with the violence. Come on now, fam. Foolio was dissing Bibby, dissing 23, dissing all of Ace's dead homies constantly. He was making songs celebrating their deaths and mocking their families, and we know for a fact that people died because of this beef on both sides. So for his mom to be pushing so hard for justice when her son was out here causing the same exact pain to other families, that's hypocritical, no cap. Like, where was this energy when Foolio was making When I See You and dissing dead teenagers? Where was this push for justice when people on his side were getting killed and he was laughing about it on Instagram Live? I'm just saying, you can't pick and choose when you want justice. Either you're against all the violence or you're not. You can't be mad when it happens to your family, but celebrate when it happens to your opposition's families. That's selective morality. But anyway, when the news broke that Alicia won her appeal and the judge got removed, Foolio's mom went off on social media. She was posting everywhere talking about how the system is broken, how they're letting killers walk free, how this is a slap in the face to her son's memory and legacy. And bro, I understand the frustration from her perspective completely. They finally got a conviction after a long trial, and now it's getting thrown out because of technicalities and judicial misconduct. She was talking about how this is going to make the whole process take even longer, and she's absolutely right about that. Now they got to get a new judge assigned. Alicia's lawyers are going to push for a whole new trial, and this case that was supposed to be wrapped up is going to drag on for months, maybe even years. That's got to be torture for a mother who just wants closure and peace. But here's the thing, fam. As much as I feel for Foolio's mom, the legal system has to work properly and fairly. If the judge was really biased, if she really did deny Alicia a fair trial, then the appeal had to be granted. Because if we let biased judges railroad defendants just because we don't like what they did, then the whole system falls apart. Today, it's Alicia Andrews getting railroaded. Tomorrow, it could be an innocent person getting railroaded by a biased judge. We gotta protect everyone's right to a fair trial, even people we think are guilty. And yo, let's talk about the bigger picture here for a second. This whole situation shows how messy these street cases can get in the legal system. You got 5 people charged with first-degree murder, all of them facing either life in prison or the death penalty. You got phone records, surveillance footage, witnesses, all types of evidence. But even with all that overwhelming evidence, the case is falling apart because of courtroom drama and judicial bias. The other 4 defendants, Rashad Murphy, Isaiah Chance, Sean Gathright, and another suspect, they're all still waiting for their trials. And now that Alicia's case got thrown into chaos, you know their lawyers are taking detailed notes. They're going to use everything that happened in Alicia's trial to build their own defenses. They're going to point to the same judge, the same bias, the same problems. This could mess up all the cases, not just Alicia's. And bro, that's what happens when you don't run a fair courtroom. The judge was so focused on getting a conviction, so focused on rushing through the trial, that she messed up the whole case. Now, instead of having one solid conviction that would stick, they might end up with nothing, all because the judge couldn't stay neutral and fair. So what happens now going forward? Well, a new judge is going to get appointed to the case. Alicia's lawyers are pushing for a whole new trial, and honestly, they might get it. If they do get a new trial, the prosecution is going to have to start from scratch. They'll have to present all the same evidence again, call all the same witnesses again, and hope they get a different outcome this time. But here's the crazy part, fam. Alicia's already been in jail for over a year and a half now. She got arrested in July 2023, and it's now 2026. If she gets a new trial and somehow beats the case, or if she gets a plea deal for time served, she could actually walk free after being involved in one of the most high-profile murders in Jacksonville history. She could end up going home. That's absolutely insane. Some people are saying she might get a plea deal for like 5 years, and with time served and good behavior, she could be out in another year or 2. Others think the prosecution is going to come back even harder and try to get that first-degree murder conviction this time around. It's really up in the air right now, and nobody knows what's going to happen. But yo, let me wrap this up because we've been going for a minute. This whole situation is crazy from every single angle you look at it. You got a brutal murder, you got a biased judge, you got a grieving mother, you got defendants fighting for their lives, and you got a legal system that's supposed to balance justice with fairness. Foolio's mom is hurting, and I feel for her pain. Losing a child is something no parent should ever have to go through. But at the same time, we gotta acknowledge that Foolio was deep in a lifestyle that made this outcome almost inevitable. And we gotta make sure that even people accused of terrible crimes get fair trials, because that's what separates us from the streets. Alicia Andrews might have helped set up Foolio's murder. The evidence definitely suggests she played a significant role in coordinating it. But if the judge was biased, if she didn't get a fair trial, then the conviction can't stand. That's just how it works, fam, and that's how it has to work. And now we gotta wait and see what happens next. Will she get a new trial? Will she take a plea deal? Will the prosecution come back stronger with better evidence? We don't know yet, but what we do know is that this case is far from over, and Foolio's mom is gonna have to wait even longer for the closure she's looking for. And that's the whole breakdown, fam. If you learned something new from this video, you gotta hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Drop a comment and let me know what you think about this whole situation. Do you think Alicia deserves a new trial, or should the conviction stand? And do you think Foolio's mom has a right to be mad, or is she being hypocritical? Let me know in the comments what your opinion is. And yo, if you want more content breaking down these street cases and all the drama that comes with them, make sure you hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next video. I got so much more content coming for y'all, trust me. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace, stay safe out there, and remember, these streets ain't worth it for real.